This video was one that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. Not only am I a big Naruto fan, but I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan as well, and I've been itching to make this video. This one, and possibly the one where Goku ends up in Attack on Titan's universe. If you want to see that, let us know in the comments. But for as fun as this what if would be, we do have a slight issue. Goku is just so dang strong. I love Naruto and all, but when it comes to power, there are few anime that can stand up to Dragon Ball's sheer power cliff. The greatest feat Naruto ever had throughout the series that bore his name was his casual tanking of a moon-busting attack in the last movie. But characters Goku is equal to or greater than have been mimicking that feat since the early eras of the original series. And trust me, for a series that only possesses a single moon, it's been busted multiple times, because Dragon Balls are a thing there. So to make this story interesting enough for you all, we will do a few things to limit Goku's power as we start off. First off, we're going to be using a younger Goku, such as one from the original series or from the movie Path to Power. This also ironically makes Goku the same age as Naruto, and this also means that by the end of Shippuden, Goku will be the same age as he was just prior to Z's start. But beyond this, we will further level out power. We'll simply assume that Goku's base form power would equal that of a Naruto character. After all, they're certainly stronger than Shotgun Farmer, who represents all humans. Or are they? This would get them closer to Goku's strength, so for the heck of it, we're just gonna say that Goku's power is equal to most others in Naruto. We're still gonna let Goku be Goku though, so how long this will stay true I don't know. So grab some popcorn and enjoy the story. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. Our story will start out in the forests outside of Konoha proper. A group of shinobi are doing normal exercises when they spot something strange. A child out in the forest, but he's oddly fishing using a monkey tail attached to his rear. They cautiously approach him, thinking he's using some strange form of transformation jutsu, but given his youthfulness, they decide it's best not to leave him alone. So they begin asking questions and discover that this boy is an orphan whose only caretaker, a kind elderly grandfather, has recently passed away. So they take the child into the village. He can't really give them any answers because he doesn't have any to give. All they know is that this child's name is Son Goku. He seems confused, but that doesn't really bother him any because he's always confused. Unsure what to do with him, they rent him a small apartment because apparently all orphaned children in Konoha live alone in apartments. Naruto and Sasuke. Goku would still walk the streets where his innocence and ignorance tend to get him in more trouble than it's worth, but he's interested by these strange headbands everyone's wearing. He hears other kids talking about becoming ninjas, so he naturally asks, what is a ninja? Is it food? The kids would laugh at him and tell him that it's an occupation. They tell him how to become one, and given that it includes fighting, Goku would naturally want to do this. So they would help him sign up for the academy, and he would start to be taught. Now the thing about this is, Goku isn't smart enough to really become a good shinobi. He's not smart and has no ability to use ninjutsu because he doesn't possess chakra. However, one thing that can be said is that he has a natural affinity for the martial arts, likely making him a taijutsu main like Rock Lee. However, besides that, he displays the ability to use what they classify as chakra in strange abilities, not too unlike the Rasengan that many had taken years to master. Given that he has access to what they think is an S-rank jutsu, they would quickly pass him and put him on a team. His team would consist of himself, Sasuke, and Sakura. Their jonin would be Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi would start out with the natural AMA like he did with the original Team 7. Most answers would remain the same except for one, Goku's. Goku would tell his name and his dream? To be the strongest. Kakashi would ask if that meant becoming Hokage. Goku would reply that he didn't know what a Hokage was and would ask if it tasted good. Kakashi would laugh, both being speechless at this child's charming ignorance. But alas, he wasn't yet sure if this was to be his team yet, so he would start with the bell test as he normally does. We all know the secret goal to this, but the issue with this is that the goal is to test teamwork. But as we all know, Goku values the hard work of a single person. He is a Saiyan after all, which is why he and Vegeta rarely work well together. Not only are they rivals, but they're prideful in their own way. Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan would rather decide through rock, paper, scissors who gets to fight first in the Buu saga. And even to his own admission, Goku hated requiring the ritual to become a Super Saiyan God. He didn't want to take power that he didn't gain himself. This personality would set him at odds with Kakashi's teachings. This normally would have Goku be sent back to the academy along with Sakura and Sasuke, ending Team 7 as we know it. So they would likely be reassigned to a new Jonin, and that Jonin we'll say is Yamato. And for the most part, the first missions would stay the same. Goku would practically try to do it all by himself if he recognized it as training. His hard work, as well as his need to fight, would likely impress the third Hokage enough to give them the Land of Waves mission. On their way, Sasuke and Sakura would reflect upon their thoughts on Goku. Sakura would be annoyed by how little he knows about anything. The fact that he treats her like a boy and doesn't understand what a girl is, along with his intense curiosity, makes her think he is secretly a pervert and just faking his ignorance. But at the same time, she thinks his lightheartedness is very fun. When he's not trying to understand the female anatomy, he generally can be fun to be around and even makes her laugh a bit. Sasuke, on the other hand, thinks he's a pure annoyance. Goku is so upbeat that it's sickening, and he really doesn't seem to take anything seriously. Sasuke wonders if Goku is either a really good ninja, capable of hiding his true self, or just stupid. He suspects the latter. But the best thing about Goku is his natural strength. He's fast and powerful. He has all the physical makings of a great shinobi, but even then, he could probably stand up to most Chunin at this point. Speaking of strength, the moment the Demon Brothers pop out to attack, Goku's already defeated them. With one massive whack of his power pole, he completely knocks them out. This surprises the entire team as Goku keeps going forward like nothing even happened. They would go forward until they're met with Zabuza. Yamato would reveal his wood-style attacks to slow Zabuza down, but being that he is one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, he carries a really big blade, which means he's cutting right through. Yamato would be trying to tell his students to avoid Zabuza, but before he can even get half the sentence out of his mouth, Goku is running out towards him with his trusty power pole in hand. He clashes it against Zabuza's weapon, which astounds the shinobi by this child's strength. It wouldn't be long until Yamato is coming in with another attack, and even Sasuke is getting in on this, not wanting to be outdone by Goku. All of this together would overwhelm Zabuza. It would be then that Haku puts him into a death-like state with his Senbon. The two flee. They finally deliver Tazuna back into his home. I could see Yamato training his students more, likely doing the same as Kakashi. He wants them to learn to channel chakra on the bottom of their feet. However, Goku can't do this because he doesn't have chakra. However, the more he trains for this, the better control he gets with his ki, and the more he begins to develop something far better than standing upside down. He would continue working with Sasuke, the only other of the team that couldn't get it off the bat. It would be then that Goku would just fall on his back, having failed for the millionth time. As he lays there, he looks into the sky. "Wow, is that the moon? It's really big tonight," he would call out. Sasuke would scoff. "Of course it is. It's a full moon." Goku would suddenly go silent, and at first, Sasuke wouldn't notice it until he felt an incredible energy. It wasn't too unlike chakra, but it was more primal. It was more like raw, untamed life energy, like something originating from the land around them, and it was producing crushing pressure. It was something that made him feel as if nature had gone wrong in some way. He turns around to see Goku struggling with himself, his body starting to expand and his eyes burning red. He was growling as his face seemed to be changing a bit. "Goku!" Sasuke called out, but it was too late. Where Goku had once been, a massive fur-covered beast stood. A massive monkey. This monkey began to fire energy beams from its mouth, and it would further begin to level the forest area. Sasuke pulled himself back and away to keep from getting caught in its attacks. That would be when Yamato and Sakura would appear. Sakura would ask what it was, and Yamato would theorize that this was maybe the legendary Four Tails. But Sasuke would arrive at their side and inform them that this was Goku. Yamato would ask what happened to him, and Sasuke would merely state that they were training, and Goku made a comment on the full moon and suddenly went crazy. Trying to decide what to do, Yamato would attempt to use Hokage-style 60-year-old technique, Kakuon entering society with bliss-bringing hands in an attempt to calm him, and it does seem to have some effect. However, Goku frees himself from it and nearly crushes Yamato. Sasuke would get up to a high treetop and would call out to Goku and attempt to cast a genjutsu on him with his Sharingan, but Goku breaks out of this as well. So in the end, Yamato and Sasuke decide to use their techniques at the same time. In doing so, they manage to calm Goku down and he returns to his more humanoid form. Of course, he's naked, so Sakura would quickly avert her eyes as Yamato would cover him. They would return him to the house where they'd be nervous around him, but linking his viewing of the full moon to the transformation, they begin to wonder if he is under some strange curse. The next day, they would elect to leave him behind and they would go to the bridge to help it finish. Around this time, word of what had happened during the night would be top news among the builders. Meanwhile, Goku would awaken and be presented with a new set of clothes. Given Goku's small stature for his age, a set of Inari's clothes should suffice. He would have his Konoha headband hanging around his neck and he would set off towards the bridge. At the same time, he would foil a plot to kidnap Inari and his mother. By the time he reaches the bridge, Yamato is already fighting Zabuza. Sakura is hanging back with Tazuna, and Sasuke is caught in a trap set by Haku. Goku, of course, being about as numb as Naruto is, actually way more numb. He would jump directly into that trap. Sasuke would be surprised, but even to a point, he expected Goku to be this dumb. It would be at this point that Haku would begin to throw Senbon to strike Goku and Sasuke. Both Sasuke and Goku would be struck by these, but as the next wave comes in, Sasuke would jump in the way and take the shots. Sasuke would go down, seemingly dying. Goku would catch him and call out his name. Goku hadn't known Sasuke long, but being part of a team had forced an almost familial bond upon the lonely Saiyan. And now, the loss of Sasuke was tantamount to the loss of a brother. Haku would watch on as Goku would cry and grit his teeth. Looking up, everyone on the bridge would notice what was happening. The sky began to grow dark, storm clouds began to form out of the blue and swirled like a hurricane above the bridge. Bolts of lightning would crash down with intense thundering claps. Haku would look back and see Goku's expression changing. His teeth still gritting, he seemed less sorrowful and more full of rage, yet tears dripped down from his eyes. Looking up, there would be an upflow of ki that would blow out like a heavy wind. Goku would stand, his eyes displaying a level of murderous intent that was uncharacteristic of him. His hair would spike up as a blue flash of energy would explode around him. Looking down at Sasuke's body, Goku's hair would quickly begin to alternate between its natural color and a glowing gold. Haku couldn't exactly sense his chakra, as Goku didn't possess any, but it was as if a layer of fear had dropped down on the bridge, and all those on the bridge would slowly and uncontrollably begin to tremble. Those of weaker constitution might pass out under the pressure. Yamato would look back and see a bright glow close to the intensity of the sun erupt out of the demonic mirroring ice crystals. Goku would be standing there, his hair pure gold, his aura glowing. Without speaking, moving and leaving an afterimage, Goku would suddenly strike the mirror with which Haku existed in, Goku's energy shattering the rest of the mirrors. Haku crept back along, his mask shattered, looking up at Goku, who grew closer with every hateful step. With each look into his teal eyes, Haku could sense that this wasn't something normal. This was a god of destruction in human form. Did Haku's actions really create this? Did this beast always exist, angrily hiding under the smiling guise of a child's face? Goku stood over Haku, and despite his utter rage, he didn't attack. He merely told Haku not to get back up again. He would move towards Zabuza, the adult who had forced Haku, a mere child, to fight and kill. Yamato would merely get out of the way of Goku, knowing somehow deep down, no matter what happened, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Goku would rush Zabuza, and with a single strike would shatter the Kubikiri Bocho. Zabuza would be knocked back. There he would see Goku standing above him, exuding an aura of invincibility. Zabuza would attempt a water prison jutsu, but the water would slowly begin to boil as it surrounded Goku and evaporate. Then Goku would expel the water out, burning Zabuza. At this point, Zabuza would be left helpless. Goku would stand over him, "Leave this place, and never come back. If I ever see you doing bad things again, I'll make you wish you were never born." He would let Zabuza and Haku go, and they would indeed escape, knowing that they can't beat Goku like this. That being said, Gato's men wouldn't even dare attack the bridge. Not with this feeling, this spectacle. Yamato would be astounded by the pure power hidden in this small body. Sakura herself would have passed out long ago from the pressure. Goku would turn around and walk back to where he had just left Sasuke. He would kneel down and raise Sasuke's head. Sasuke would start to show signs of life. Goku would call out that Sasuke was still alive, and Yamato would rush to check on him. Yamato would laugh and say that he was only put into a comatose state by the Senbon and that he is still alive. Goku would smile, and then suddenly his energy would give out. He would return to his base form and pass out. Yamato would then be left with a squad that was completely unconscious. He was proud of them, then a little scared because they almost died, then a lot scared because he didn't know what the hell Goku even was. Turns into a monkey and then displays rapid growth and hair color change after a traumatic experience. He had never seen anything like it. This kid wasn't like the rest of them, but then again, he realized that the moment he had seen Goku's tail. Yamato would then bring them all back to Tazuna's house, where they would rest for a while before returning to the Hidden Leaf Village. When they had, Yamato would immediately sign them up for the Chunin exams. His team was ready. You don't just do what they did without being ready. And so they would begin the exams. First was the written test, which Goku would have no hope of passing. However, Goku is not a quitter, and though he would be terrified, unable to answer questions, because he had the guts to take it, he passes. Then comes the Forest of Death. Here, they would be met by Orochimaru, who was interested in taking Sasuke's body. Orochimaru would attack them, but Goku would defend the petrified Sasuke by turning blonde, as Goku would call the form. Orochimaru would see this and be intrigued with it as he would be with Sasuke's Sharingan. However, he didn't have time to deal with the both of them, so he would choose Sasuke for now. He would brand Sasuke with the cursed mark and flee before Goku could harm him any further. Sasuke would pass out from the pain, and Goku would return to base form, drained from the use of Super Saiyan. He would rest, but he wouldn't sleep. He'd stay on guard with Sakura while Sasuke was out, and there'd be no need for Rock Lee to aid them because Goku would be plenty enough. They would wait until Sasuke awakens, and when he did, they would continue through the forest to get the other scroll and get to the center. After this, they would begin the third part of the exams. This would be by far Goku's favorite because it mimics the Tenkaichi Budokai. Everything up to this point remains the same, with the only thing being different would be his battle against Kiba. Goku practically one-shots him. After going Super Saiyan for the first time, Goku seemingly broke his limits and grew stronger, his Saiyan power and adaptation kicking in. That being said, once the first rounds were over, all Genin would get a month off to train. Here is where some differences begin to crop up. Goku would never train with Jiraiya because Goku has zero connection to him or the 4th Hokage, and he has no other reason to train with him. So Goku trains alone, but that's fine. A lot of Goku's greatest breakthroughs happen when he trains solo anyways. Goku is prodigious in that way. Sasuke, however, would not learn the Chidori because he never trained under Kakashi, so his own training would look rather different. Not to say that he would get weaker, he merely wouldn't learn Kakashi's technique. When it comes to Goku's training, he comes to realize that he has great power in his Super Saiyan form, but it's so straining on him and so unruly that the form can only really be used once before you're wiped. Goku, however, decides that all he needs to do is train it more. After all, if you're too weak to maintain something, you keep trying to maintain it until you do. That's the general principle of working out anything, so that's what he focuses on. That would also help him control his ki, which would do nothing but make him stronger. By the time he comes back from his month's training, he can withstand using his Super Saiyan form to a fair degree, and wouldn't you know it, he's grown stronger. By this time, it's incomparable. He would return to fight against Neji, and everyone would note that Goku is permanently in Super Saiyan at this point, yet his energy seems so calm and peaceful. Completely the opposite of what it was on the Great Wukong Bridge in the Land of Waves. I just realized I forgot to name it when the last arc ended, so I'll just name it now. Sorry. Alright, so Goku is facing off against Neji, and to most this seems like a one-shot. All the viewers, all those betting on the match, even to us. At this point, with Goku's absurd rate of growth, it seems like an obvious one-shot, right? Well, honestly, Goku thinks that too, but Neji is the lone sage who sees through this illusion. The battle begins, and we start to see how the brains over brawn fighting styles of Naruto begin to come into play. As the battle begins, Neji begins with his Byakugan. He's searching for any and all weaknesses in Goku, something so weak that even Goku's incredible defensive power can't protect him from. And Neji finds it. Weaving in and out, Neji completely dodges Goku's attacks and would grab his tail. With Goku weakened, Neji would unleash his 8 trigrams technique to completely defeat Goku. From this point, everything still takes place. Next comes the battle between Gara and Sasuke. For most of you, you would realize that it was Sasuke's Chidori that broke through Gara's sand and struck him, which caused Gara to essentially have a mental breakdown. Well, Sasuke doesn't have that, so I don't really know if he can break through Gara's defenses, so Gara would probably win this. However, it would be around this time that Konoha Crush begins, and because Gara was not having a freaking breakdown, he could do his part in the plan and release Shukaku right in the middle of the arena. With that done, Sasuke would attempt to fight it, but wouldn't be able to do so. Goku, who has just finished recovering from his battle with Neji, is pumped, thinking that there's a whole new dimension of power to focus on. Brain power. And while Goku is a brick in almost all fashions, even Vegeta acknowledges that, at moments, Goku is a fighting genius. So it's entirely possible that he would learn from this and begin formulating new techniques and abilities. But he's suddenly faced with Gara and Shukaku. In Super Saiyan, he displays one new technique he had learned but never had the chance to display until now, Bukujutsu. He felt bad that he couldn't stand on trees like Sasuke, so he decided to learn how to stand on air. He can fly now. Normally, Naruto would attack Gara to wake him up, but Goku doesn't understand how this works yet, so he would attack Shukaku himself. But Shukaku is made of sand, and every physical strike only gets absorbed by it and then traps his hand. So he decides to use that brain power of his and begins to use superheated ki beams to attack. If he can't break sand, then he'll break glass. He begins to superheat the sand Shukaku was made of until it turns to glass. He would then fly directly through Shukaku, shattering it and leaving Gara on the ground. Goku manages to defeat Gara, but while this is happening, the 3rd Hokage is dead. Normally this would go into the search for Tsunade arc, but Naruto isn't here, and the only person going after her is Jiraiya. Tsunade logically dies here to Orochimaru and Kabuto, meaning that Danzo replaces Hiruzen as Hokage. Meanwhile, Sasuke is still thinking about his weakness and inability to defeat Gara, and how far he's fallen behind Goku. That's when the Sound 4 show up. They would beat Sasuke just to show him how weak he is. They offer him a way to grow stronger, and he takes it. He leaves the village to join Orochimaru. The day after though, Sakura finds Goku and begs him to bring Sasuke back to the village, and he does. We don't need to kid ourselves here. Merely lowering Goku's power isn't enough to keep him from being the strongest because Goku's rate of growth surpasses anything in Naruto. Goku breaks his limits so fast that he even makes Saitama wet himself. Yeah, I've seen Saitama's new feats. I'm not impressed. Goku surpassed time a long time ago when he surpassed Jiren, who was greater than time, but alas, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Goku in Naruto. As soon as he catches up to Sasuke in the Valley of the End, even if Sasuke uses his second stage curse mark, Goku by this time is one-shotting. If I were to be generous, maybe Sasuke could manage to get Goku's tail, and specifically because I'm thinking that I need to knock Goku down a peg, I'm going to do just that. Sasuke grabs his tail, takes all of Goku's power from him, and defeats him. There. That should be a temporary band-aid on this issue. Sasuke escapes, and Goku is returned to Konoha where he decides to go to training for nearly 3 years. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to balance. Anyway, what do you think? Goku and Naruto is a fun idea, but damn, it's a monster to balance. At this point, Goku is soloing the series. I thought giving him Super Saiyan would make for a good scene since the supposed death of Sasuke would work like the death of Krillin, but in retrospect, perhaps that wasn't such a good idea. You know what they say, hindsight is 20/20. But what do you think? Do you think Goku is just gonna casually solo Naruto, even if we dropped his base to Naruto level? Or do you think we'll actually get a challenge for Goku? I'm sure there will be some people who can give him a run for his money, but then again, Goku isn't done growing, so I guess we'll see, yeah? Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't to show some support for the channel. Click the bell to be notified when more videos like this drop. Peace out.